Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bunjo. The theme, the grammar, the agenda of my speech today, it's about politics. So the heading, it's about politics. Is there any integrity in politics? All right. Before I could accelerate with my topic today, I'm going to start by saying, guys, I'm going to be very crystal clear in the nutshell, quite frankly, without fear of prejudice. I won't beat around the bush. I'm just going to be blunt with you. This thing of giving birth of new political parties, like for instance, EFF, what else? COPE, Congress of the People, Umkhonto we and what's not and so forth. You know, the list is countless. But if you are assessing, evaluating, and examining this whole scenario, this whole division, you know, of giving birth, you know, of composing, of creating a new political party, does it help in the mission of blacks? What is the mission of blacks? The mission of black people is to deprive, you know, is to seize power from white people, the colonists, or if I could put it this way, the imperialist. You know, that's the black mission. That's a black people's mission: is to seize, is to deprive, is to take what belongs to them. Like for instance, mines, means of wealth, everything pertaining wealth, you know, and resources, mineral. The list is countless, you know. That's the mission of black people, you know, to retain their power, to retain their resources, to retain all these segments and components that were deprived by white people from our forefathers. That's a black mission. But now, at this particular moment, we see the rise of all of these different political parties. What does that do? Does it help the agenda of black people, or either is it exacerbate, is it perpetuate things that were seized, embezzled, purloined from our forefathers? Like for instance, this thing of giving birth of new political parties, it doesn't help black people. It basically obliterate black people's mission, which was to retain, to get back what was stolen from our forefathers, which is land, which is means of production, which is black businesses which were forcefully obliterated and destroyed by white people so that they can vest their businesses, so that their businesses can operate. Like for instance, black people were having they were having farms, large farms. Like, they were good with agriculture because that's the only way we used to survive. But at this particular moment, we find that black people are no longer relying. They don't even find it worthy in a larger degree, by far by extension, you know, to have agriculture, to have farms, to have a flock of cows, sheep, and what's not. The list is countless. People no longer find that thing worthy. You know, it seems like they belittle it. You know, they don't see value anymore from those things, because you know there was a shift in the paradigm of a black people, because a black people was psychologically damaged by white people, so that white people can be in control of how we think, of how we look at things, the perspective, the perceptions, and what's not, and so forth. So I'm going to shift a little bit back to my question. Is it helping us to compose, to create new political parties? It literally doesn't. Like for instance, don't be surprised when we are retrieved, when we are handed back to the hand of a white man to be the president of this country, because that is inclined to happen. Like for instance, we giving birth of all of these new political parties, which doesn't help a black mission at all. It actually divides us. Remember the imperialists when they came, when they treat in our land, the first thing that they could do is to hate our unity, because they know that if we unite, collaborate, if we work together, if we synergize, we're going to be like very strong against our enemies, which was them. So they strive at the level best of their potential, in a larger degree, far by extension, to divide us. So this thing of giving birth of new political parties, it basically help a white man agenda. It divide us, Tomorrow, Malema will wake up and an open EFF. Tomorrow, former President Jacob Zuma will wake up and form Umkhonto weSizwe, which is also in question. Umkhonto weSizwe, it's a political party that is still in question. There is quite a lot of, how can I put it? There is quite a lot of commission. There is quite a lot of talk pertaining Umkhonto weSizwe, because they say Umkhonto weSizwe belongs to the ANC. So Jacob Zuma, I'm quite sure he's still gonna go in and out in court, attending that matter pertaining Umkhonto weSizwe, to use specifically that, because that belongs, that's the baby of the ANC. He was supposed to ask, as a member that is still a patriot within the parameters of the ANC, to use that. But I think he's been rebuked and reprimanded for several times not to use that, because he's not consent to do so. So he's still gonna be filed for accusations, for charges for using that particular name in particular. So all I'm saying, black people, is that, quite frankly, in a nutshell, without fear of prejudice, I won't beat around the bush, I'm just going to be blunt with you. This thing of opening new political parties, it doesn't help, what you might call this, a black man's agenda. It's basically obliterated. It's a proponent of the imperialist to divide and rule. That's the thing that they do to us, is to divide and rule and inflict and impose Christian religion, which was saying, if a person punch your face, you shouldn't punch him back. You should just forgive him, and all of these things. If a person still intrude and invade inside your house and embezzle and purloin things, you shouldn't punish, you shouldn't chastise that person. You should just forgive him, and all of these things, which plays a very vital role in a manner in which it maintains this superiority of white agenda, if I could put it that way. And the other thing, remember, our blacks' agenda was to retain back, to get all the things, all our belongings, all our possessions, all our assets, minerals, land, and all of these other items. The list is countless, All of these things were embezzled, were purloined from our forefathers. But this thing of giving birth of new political parties, it's never going to help us. It's rather exacerbate us being placed in the shovel. We're never going to lead by doing these things, because it divide us. If we are united, if we synergize, we're going to have power. But if we are divided, we're not going to have power. That's how white men conquered black people, especially in South Africa. I'm not quite sure whether I'm making sense to you, but this thing, it literally doesn't help us. We should try to assess and put sunglasses. Where are we heading? Where does this thing lead us to? I think people were very furious with rage, with the manner in which the ANC is ruling. So the best way was maybe to ask these particular individuals to demise power. Hence, people were no longer satisfied and happy.